Cows are not the problem.
What is?
Well, actually, like we talked on the phone yesterday, oh man, scale could be a problem. Scale is not a problem as long as you can get the sales. The risk that we have, the biggest risk we have, is we can grow as many cows as we want. It's not that big of a deal. There's working capital concern. There's all those other business things. But once we start cattle down a finishing path, they have to go in a box at a certain time. And now they go in a box, and now they are in a box. There's nothing else you can do with them. So you've changed the material quality of that product from a banking perspective, from a finance perspective. So when you start to make those commitments, 6 months out that you're going to have X amount of cattle that are going to come through and be sellable product, you have to know you can move it.
What it is, Brad Lee, back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs today in the studio, folks. As always, I've got another real treat for you. Mr. Jeff Smith.
Brad, how you doing?
His lovely Kara on the couch. You can't see her, but she's here listening.
Just like always.
Probably willing to chime in if need be.
If we get really heavy into the cow science, we're going to need to give her a microphone because I will get corrected later.
So if you guys don't know this dude, he's the, I would say, chief executive smell tester at Colorado Craft Beef.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Colorado Craft Beef is a I would say ranch, really.
We are. Yeah. So Kara's family actually founded the ranch in 1913.
Wow.
About half a mile from where our house is today. And so Kara is 5th generation on the family ranch. Our 2 little girls, of course, by math makes them generation 6. But Colorado Craft Beef is our way of paying homage to 4 generations before Kara to really showcase the ranch and take it to further generations by being a price maker, not a price taker. Because the ag space is commodity driven, and you can only operate in a commodity space so long before the cycle detonates your business. And, what we've done is put our money where our mouth is. So when we do say Kara is 5th generation, Colorado Craft Beef is the 1st generation, and we bootstrapped it from the top to the bottom in honor of her family and what they've done.
It's nice. It's beautiful. And it's good steak because I've had it.
Yeah.
You were nice enough to send me a box or 2.
I did hear a rumor that you were a New York steak guy.
Straight up every time, New York steak.
Now, what'd you think of the
New
beef?
York strip.
Yeah.
It's good. What are you talking about? Oh, it's freaking, it's good. And I heard you talking to Mike when he was leaving, and you said something about it's grass-fed, then corn-fed or some shit. But what was it?
So the industry term, everybody asks, is it grass-fed?
Why, though?
Man, the easy way to say it is just marketing. Everybody wants to know it's grass-fed because they want to know it was on a pasture. Well, frankly, 90% of all cows are grass-fed at most point or another because the definition of grass-fed is cows fed a diet that doesn't contain grain. Well, if they're on a pasture or they're on the cow and they're, living on mother's milk, they're not eating grain, right? But the industry loves, and the food industry, by the way, not the ag industry, the food industry loves to have things to talk about to sell product. So we can think back to natural and organic in the 90s, then sustainably farmed. You've probably heard that a lot. And the new tagline is regeneratively raised. So everybody in the food industry is always trying to find this tagline to get the people, the masses, to buy their product over another. And grass-fed is one of those that just lives in perpetuity, really. I mean, it's one that everybody knows. But what's most important is how cattle are finished. So you can have grass finished or you can have grain finished. And that grain finishing is a concentrate typically, some corn, depending on where you're at in the country, you're going to have other byproducts. Like California feeds a lot of almonds because they have almond hulls and there's a lot of protein in that. Or you can go down to Florida and they'll feed citrus waste from some of the processing plants. But it's about giving enough concentrate in a caloric diet that you convert that fat from yellow to white, which is where you get the buttery flavor in the steaks that we sent you.
Versus the what?
The more gamey, like antelope/deer flavor that you get in that steak that has that yellow fat. And that flavor actually comes from the beta carotene. The beta carotene in that yellow fat comes from straight grasses. And it's a little pungent. Some people call it like earthy, if you will. So it's very interesting when you watch some of that and you talk to a lot of the food guys, like, we're friends with a lot of chefs that talk about different quality. Cause then we go into aging outside of, the live cattle side. we go into the harvesting and the aging process and how all that's going to come together. So it's this huge crafted model that we've put together from start to finish that allows our beef to perform the way it does.
Very scientific. You say
she's the scientist. Yeah.
Allows them to perform the way they do. So, if I were to drive by your spot, am I going to see cows roaming a range and just when's it time to harvest? I bet you call it.
Harvest is the proper term.
When do we harvest them? Like, do you harvest them when they get big enough?
Yeah.
The second they big enough?
No, typically you've got a pen of cattle. Like in the commercial industry, a whole pen just goes. They load them on trucks and they go. What we do is we have our own ranch. So one of our spots, yes, you will drive by, and from April to about October, cows are on grass. They're just hanging out right outside our back door. Horses, cows, dogs, cats, kids, that's what we do.
And you got to get up and feed them and take care of them. And how many are there?
It depends. The family ranch will hold thousands. Our operation is not nearly that big.
Yeah, but can you draw off them? The bomb squad, if the bomb squad all decided, hey, any meat eater on the bomb squad said, we're going to use Colorado craft beef from now on. We're going to order from there.
We got you.
How? If you only have a couple of cows, even a couple thousand, like how, what I'm saying is like, how many New York strips can I get from a cow?
You're going to get about 36 pounds per cow of New York strips.
Which is about, in my opinion, 36 of them?
Yeah. I mean, we cut them around 12 inches, so probably closer to 40 or 45. But the way we sell beef on the website, we've got different curated boxes with some burger, some steak, some roasts that we've built very intentionally to bring the inventory down evenly. Because if everybody wants New York steak all the time, we have a problem.
Because all you have is the rest of the cow.
Yeah, which isn't a problem because everybody else says we want all the ribeye. I just want to buy ribeye.
I used to like ribeye, dude, but ribeye became too rich for me, too fatty.
Yeah, and that's where I think the aging comes in with our stuff is because you have a lot less water content. It condenses the flavor. I need to send you some of our ribeyes. I don't think I've sent you any because I knew you were a New York guy. But.
The only reason New York is because it's, I asked one time, what's the healthiest version, sirloin, this, that. New York was like in the middle. Wasn't quite the leanest, but it wasn't quite a ribeye either.
Sure. Well, and do you know Dr. Sean Baker, the carnivore diet? He wrote the carnivore diet book.
No, but I wish I did.
Yeah, I'll introduce you. He's one of our teammates as well. Great guy. And his comment is lean is great, but you have to have enough fat to run your brain because the fat is actually what fires the gray matter. It's like you got to have the protein in the lean muscle to make you work, but you really need enough fat content to make your brain fire. I was like, good. That's a great excuse. I'm going to use that.
Dude, I was over at this other place and I met a guy. He's a heart surgeon still to this day. And he said, you want to learn how to stay off the operating table? Here, read my book. And I said, well, give me in a nutshell what it says. And he said, take everything you hear from the American Heart Association and throw it away.
Sounds like a good first step.
Yeah. He said, eat a lot of red meat. I said, well, dude, I like what this guy's saying. Yeah. He said, dude, listen, red meat is good for you.
Yeah.
And it's good for your heart. It's not bad for your heart like they say it is.
Yeah. So I'm actually down 80 pounds. I'm a little soft right now because we've been doing a media tour for the last 90 days. But I'm down 80 pounds from when our first kid was born 4 years ago. And it's carnivore diet. It's a high-fat carnivore diet because my health coach, he told me, he's like, hey, man, if you're not eating fat, your body won't lose fat. He goes, if you rewind 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 years back when you were a caveman, the reason your genomics survived and your genes are still alive today is when you had food, you were able to store the energy for later in the form of fat. He goes, so you aren't going to burn fat if you're not eating fat because your system won't run it. Your system won't burn it because it's thinking it's in a famine state. So, man, when I'm burning weight, I'm eating a ton of fat. It's gross.
But your steaks taste extra good.
21 days dry age, man.
Is that performance you're talking about?
Well, there's a lot to it. So, having the right cattle genomically is a big deal. So we're actually implementing genomic testing and a bunch of other stuff on the science side that Kara's really championing. I'm good at talking, doing spreadsheets, and, good doing jujitsu and drinking whiskey as part of a job. It's been a lot of fun. But then we have our own feed yard. So we have licensed nutritionist. Kara actually has a master's degree in cow nutrition. That is a thing. She is a specialist with cows. We've got.
Do you guys give them fenbendazole? But fenbendazole specifically? We'll see if you can get a hold of that just in case. Get a little batch.
Okay. Keep
it on the side.
Okay.
The reason I say that is because I read an article. This person was swearing it. Basically, he had some sort of cancer. They told him, you're dying in 6 months, man. Get your affairs in order. There's nothing we can do. It's too far gone. Mm-hmm. Well, he knew somebody that was basically a rancher or a veterinarian / rancher. And this drug called fenbendazole was used for, again, animals, cattle, something. And the person that was running the ranch had, you get it on you, you absorb it. It's fenbendazole. And he got diagnosed as well with a rare form of cancer or whatever. And it went away. And they're like, what is that? So he says it was the fenbendazole. I'm like, well, shit, dude, I got to put some fenbendazole aside. Yeah. And if I ever get told like anything like that, I'm not getting chemo.
Right.
I want some horse dewormers. I want some shit they say don't take. I want that shit because the shit they tell you to take, you can look up statistically 97% failure rate.
Oh, there's no money in the cure, right?
Yeah. So, dude, like that's why I want a company like Colorado Craft Beef where I know where my beef's getting grown. I hear Bill Gates is buying all the farmland. Any truth to that?
He owns 200,000 acres.
Is any of those conspiracy people that are thinking, man, they're going to restrict the food? Has anyone come to your house and said, don't sell cows?
No, we haven't had that. I actually, so my background, I'm a recovering sales guy, recovering private equity guy, but I've also done a lot of finance type stuff. So if we want to break down the economics, the reason Bill Gates is buying farm ground is there's a Schedule F in the tax code, which is the farm schedule. Massive bonus depreciation on fences, wells, all of that stuff. And if you break down the economics of real estate from the mid 70s to mid 2010s, downtown Manhattan real estate was a 10x. Production agriculture land like central Iowa or like water to ground up by Denver was a 16x. That's why Warren Buffett's gotten into it. Warren Buffett bought Lemar. Warren Buffett's buying a lot of this stuff. People have to eat. Tech is great. I love what you guys are doing. But, once in your life, you need an undertaker. Once in your life, you need a lawyer. And 3 times a day, you need a farmer.
Smart.
Yeah.
They're smart.
And if you play the game or you dissect an agricultural operation like anybody around us, and I catch a little bit of heat for this statement, but I've said it about 4 times, so, Bomb Squad should probably hear it. Most of the farmers, while they claim to be cattle ranchers or corn farmers or sheep farmers, whatever it is, they're real estate investors. Their operations, growing cows or growing corn, pay the bills, keep the kids fed, keep the taxes paid. But their actual enterprise value goes up because of real estate appreciation. Full stop. So when people want to rail on Bill Gates, and for the record, I'm not defending the guy. I don't think he is without his own list of problems. But the real estate thing is just funny to me. I'm like, dude, I could show you the schedule that shows you where this math comes from.
Well, that's more than likely what it is.
Yeah.
Like, again, everybody with their conspiracies, they go crazy all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But it is kind of a weird thing, like with the chickens, if that's even true. Mm-hmm. Where like chicken factories just all of a sudden catching fire. All of them.
Yeah.
But I still see chicken, so we're good.
Yeah.
But anyway, I didn't bring you on to talk conspiracy. I wanted to talk about how you built it.
Sure.
It was a family ranch. Now you guys come along and you're like, hey, let's start this thing, or what happened?
So actually, Kara and I were having a conversation with her dad. It was raining. We were standing in the barn. We just decided that we were going to move back. And we were talking to Dave about succession planning and things of that nature. And I'm a business dork. And I said, hey, Dave, I know enough about your business model to understand what you do. Can we still do that? And he said, no. I said, you got to figure out another way. And now it's not that he's running the ranch improperly, but he has 50 years of knowledge that just you couldn't download via the matrix if you wanted to. But then I asked him about, banking regulations and all the things that have changed. I said, man, how many times did you do something in banking or you were somewhere financially that you might not have been bankable? And he said, a lot. He said, it's gotten too tight. You've got to find a better way. So if we take different math, return on capital in the commercial cattle space is sub 5%. It's bad for a mountain of money to be out there. So David told me that when he first started, to buy a truckload of cattle was about 50 G's. Today it's like 130, and you still make $100 an animal. So your cost of capital is crazy. Interest rates are high. You're a price taker. You're in the commodity space. And if the market turns unexpectedly and you're in the wrong spot in your own cycle, it'll bankrupt you.
I am.
Yeah. And
that's why a lot of farmers are going bankrupt.
Yeah. Because I mean, there's a lot of progression in the farming world, whether it's livestock or crops, but there's also a lot of, this is how grandpa did it, we're going to do it. Or there's a lack of succession planning, a lack of general income that drives the patriarch to not move on because there's no capital to retire. So then maybe grandson or great grandson wants to take it over, but grandpa's going to run it until he can't. So that succession conversion just becomes untenable. Or, hey, we can't let you come back to the farm. We can't pay you. You got to go find something else. And people are like, hold on, I can make $150,000 a year in town, and I don't feed cows on Christmas. And I don't, we had a fire 3 days after Christmas last year at the feed yard, burned down a bunch of equipment. We had a fire about a month ago. That's a spontaneous combustion. That's a whole other deal. It's a fun life. We love it, but it's not without a lot of struggle. So
why do you love it?
Oh man, that's a Kara question, but I think is that my cot?
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to wheel it over? Why do you love it, Kara? Sorry, we put you on the spot. You don't want me to answer for you?
It'll pull and move. Just pull it. Yeah, there you go.
So I love it. One, for the ability to raise our kids in that kind of way.
Yeah, it's always good for kids for sure.
Well, you can't teach them. I mean, taking care of your dog is one thing. Your dog's your pal. Taking care of 100 cows that will literally run you over because it's cold and you have to do it. Have to is a really good teacher. But the legacy side of the ranch and the legacy connection to what we do is really her and her family legacy.
Didn't you ever feel bad that your pet Bessie, because you made them pets, you had to have?
Oh, absolutely. I'm an animal lover at heart. And I remember the first time that I realized that all the cows we were raising were destined to be food. That was a hard one for me, because if I could keep all of the critters, I would. We just have a little funny farm and have all of them indefinitely.
And in her defense, she tries to do that anyway. But
I mean, we have some, but I got to the kind of the mental space of it's my job to steward this land and these animals and give them the absolute best life possible. And then, when it comes to where they're made into steak, their life has to end so mine can continue and fuel my body. So it is something that I take pretty serious as far as knowing the sacrifice that it takes. But I also do know that that's the best protein that I can fuel my body with, my family, and that's something that I definitely don't take lightly. So,
you guys ever get vegan protesters?
No, we haven't had any of that. Honestly, we've been talking about this week, and I said, you know what Brad would say? We must have finally made it because we've got some real haters here recently.
Vegan haters?
No, other agriculture people.
Why?
Because of what I just talked about, the legacy side and how grandpa did it. And this is our definition versus your definition, and a lack of a open mind and a lack of a business mind and a big amount of famine mindset that lives in the ag industry. Because if you sell more product, my piece of the pie is smaller, where our mission is raise the pie for everybody. And so Kara was laughing. She's like, I bet Brad would say that's how you know you made it, is when you got real haters.
Well, that's one of the indicators. That's for sure. I was just saying, I don't have many haters. I don't think I've done enough. I got to get bigger. Someone goes, why? I'm like, dude, I don't really have much hate. Now, I do see some here and there, but not much.
Right.
It's like, shit, dude, I got to keep going. I got to get some haters. So you're right. I would have said that. But so how long does a cow live on its own?
Like if you were just to let it live in perpetuity with no production?
Just like a dog. We don't kill dogs to eat them.
Not like
we just let them live. But they die eventually. How long is a cow's life?
So like 7 to 10 years typically?
They can get up to 10, 12. A mature cow.
Let's say, 12-year-old cow, does it taste any different than a 8-year-old cow?
Very different. Well, and I don't know, like, let's not say 8 to 12. I'd say what we do with the fed beef chain tastes a whole lot different than an adult cow.
Yeah, like you don't want to eat an adult cow.
You wouldn't want to eat the New York off an adult cow. There's gonna be a lot of calcification. Once they hit about 3 years old, the joints start to calcify. The cartilage hardens. A lot of the fats and connective tissues get a lot more robust, if that makes sense. Because in the fed beef chain, so if you go downtown Vegas and you get a USDA prime whatever, that is a fed beef, and that's a defined term by the USDA. So that means that animal was under 30 months of age when it was harvested. And then the grading is based on the amount of fat percentage in the muscle, in the ribeye between the 12th and 13th rib. So it's very scientific of how that's going to be.
Damn.
Hey, you want to spend an hour a week with me helping you become a business badass? Well, check out my group in the link below.
Once they're outside that 30 months of age, they start to have biological changes that make them harder to break down. It's harder on equipment. It's harder on people. The meat's not as good. They carry a lot more internal fat, so the yield isn't as good. But when you get a lot of the people talking about carbon footprint and all these other things, that is why it's under 30 months of age, because you're moving them into a box at the rate that is healthy for everybody, if that makes sense.
Because if all the cows stopped being killed and eaten, what would happen to the earth? Because I hear both sides, my daughter's a vegan. I got to listen to her every time I'm eating steak.
Sure.
Why you kill them? We shouldn't kill them. I'm like, I'm not killing them, first of all. Mm-hmm. The ones I'm eating are already dead.
Yep.
But without trying to be funny, that is true. Now, if I were hungry and there was a salad right there, or I had to go kill that cow, I'd eat the salad. But what happens when there's no salad there? Well, then I'm killing the cow. Why?
Or what happens if there's 40 of you and there's one salad?
That too. Mm-hmm. Or what happens if there's 4 million cows and that's too many? Why? Well, because, dude, won't they just keep producing? Like, there has to be both sides of it. Like, you go to China. I saw a video one time where somewhere in China, dude, they straight up eat dogs, like your pet. Like, they'll kill it and eat it. And I watched this video. It was so sad. And I'm thinking, who the fuck would eat dogs? But they think, it's a delicacy. And, if you don't, they'll overrun the city. Is there anything like that going on? Like there'll be too many cows in the world? Cow farts, methane gas, all that shit.
That's the other end of the animal. Cow farts aren't the issue. The methane actually comes when they burp. You've seen cows chewing their cud. Yeah. Comes when they burp. There's no methane out the other end. That's what makes us laugh the most, is because AOC is talking about cow farts. And I'm like, yeah, you're 180 degrees the wrong end. Yeah.
Dude, I don't listen to all that. I just know that you guys must. You're in the business.
Yeah, we don't have a choice. It kind of lives in our feed. If we were to stop harvesting cattle tomorrow, you would have the national cow herd on the beef side is 25 million, I think. And the national cow herd on the dairy side, totally different industry, of course, is around 10 million. So you have about 35 million cows, plus or minus 10%. To anybody that Googles this, my bad. If you turn them all loose, they're domesticated. They'll eat okay, but where we live in eastern Colorado, they're going to have a really bad winter. Where I grew up in eastern Oregon, there's not going to be any feed for them. So there's a lot of labor that goes into making sure they can continue. But to my point about, if you have one salad and 40 people, one thing what a lot of people don't understand in the U.S. is we harvest 600,000 cows a week for our population. We harvest.
That doesn't sound like a lot, does it?
It's 35 million a year. It's 200 million pigs, and it's 2 billion chickens. So when we start looking at that math and how we feed everybody, like especially in a place like Vegas, I saw a farmer's market sign on the way into the office. I was like, where does that come from? Just joking, like, man, where do they bring farmer product? Because there's not a lot of farms around here.
Well, farmer's market here means handcrafted.
Does it? Okay. It's like local greenhouses and things like that, or?
No, like, if you roll your own cigars, you're at the farmer's market.
Oh, I see.
It's handcrafted shit.
I see.
Soap that you made yourself with ash and shit. Mm-hmm. Handcrafted goodies.
Oh.
It's not necessarily farm. You're not seeing tomatoes and farm shit.
Okay. That makes sense now. Now I understand.
But I also have a house in Tennessee, and that farmer's market, you do get there's steaks, there's squash, there's tomatoes.
Yeah, where I grew up in Oregon, there was farm and fruit stands kind of all over the place.
Yeah, I grew up in Cottage Grove, Oregon.
Really? I didn't know that. So
Yeah.
I grew up in Pendleton, a rodeo town out east.
Pendleton, Oregon, sure.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I know exactly where that is. I went to that rodeo a couple times. Pendleton Roundup.
Yeah. You have a good time? Or do you remember it?
Yeah. That was like the big thing there.
Absolutely. Well, my birthday's during the Pendleton Roundup. I thought it was very nice of them to coordinate all that just for me.
So how did you end up in like finance? Nobody from Pendleton, Oregon ends up fucking anywhere, let alone finance.
Yeah. I was a money
I'm
guy.
joking, Pendleton. Calm down.
Right. You're going to get some hate. Yeah. So I was always a math guy. Just loved math. And then went to actually junior college, Blue Mountain Community College in Pendleton, Oregon. Had a buddy of mine that went out to Colorado State University. And I got out there, and like the week before class started, I had to declare a major. I was like, well, I like ag and I like money. I suppose I can do ag business. So, well, I looked at the tapestry and it said basically I needed about 3 extra classes to do finance and accounting minors from the School of Business and the School of Ag. So, well, that's a no-brainer. So I just went that route. Went to work for a company called Cargill. I don't know if you've heard of them. Yeah, I was a Cargill.
It's a huge company.
Yeah, largest privately held company in the world when I was there. But I was an operations manager for them. So you learn a thing or two about running a company doing that. Went from there to heavy construction management up around Pendleton. So we built subdivisions and did all sorts of stuff around the Tri-Cities, Washington. And then I met a girl that lived in Boise, Idaho. And that's when I went into sales. So I had this operational background, this heavy construction background, this big paperwork background. And do you know who Dr. Jeff McGee is? He's actually here out of Vegas. He's a human capital consultant. He was doing some work with National FFA, and I was at a conference in Green Bay. And I went and sat with him right after I met Kara, and I was going to move to Boise. And I said, man, what do you think? I said, I could go C-suite at some point. And he looked at my resume, and he goes, bro, you need sales. I said, man, I've done sales. He goes, bullshit. Your resume does not say you had a sales job. He goes, I understand in what you were doing to some degree, you had sales. But nothing in business happens till a sale is made. You need sales on your resume. And I went to work for a company out of Iowa as a technical sales manager in the grain handling seed processing space. So I worked with people like Coors and Land O'Lakes building alfalfa seed plants and beer handling facilities and things like that as the technical sales guy with a construction background. And then got recruited into private equity because I had all this operational experience and the business savvy that kind of went with it. And the equity guys I worked for were in ag, and they were Harvard and MIT grads, but there was always a disconnect between literal boots on the ground and the finance side. And I became the catalyst between those two. And that led us to moving back to the ranch in 2015. Starting Colorado Craft Beef in 2017. I left corporate America in 2020.
Well, you guys must have seen Yellowstone.
Yeah.
You guys got like, your own rip and crew like that, or no?
We got Tell. Tell runs the feed yard. He's pretty awesome. I believe he'd take somebody to the train station if we needed him to, but he might ask for a raise. We do a lot of our own ranch work. Kara's actually the roper of the family. So she's the one that handles the rope and does most of the horse work. For some reason, I'm the wrestler of the family. So if we got to wrestle cattle, she ropes them and I do the groundwork.
No kidding?
Yeah.
Is that where the jiu-jitsu's for?
It helps. It certainly helps. And then with our most recent acquisition, we acquired the harvest facility and put that under our purview with the beef company. And now we've got, close to 30 employees enterprise wide. And
that's what you would call an end to end, right?
yeah, we own the supply chain. So when you get,
that's good though.
Absolutely.
You want that. Why would you want that? Tell the bomb squad. Why would you want that end to end control?
Actually, the math is really fun on that as the business dork. The harvest dates we're using right now, we spoke for in 2021. We had to throttle our own business growth and throttle our marketing to meet the harvest spaces we could get. And we needed an ability to, instead of doing hand-to-mouth product, as fast as we're getting it, we're turning it out, to build the ramp out further and be able to control that production cycle. Because the interesting part of our business, and we were talking about this with some people yesterday, we manufacture and demanufacture the same product. We grow cattle very intentionally to get them to the finish point that they need to go to the harvest facility. So they're live cattle, and there's math all the way up in that live cattle chain to make sure the economics are right. That cattle is harvested and put in a box, and now we demanufacture that thing all the way down and sell to pieces. And without the ability to do that at scale, my argument when Kara and I first started talking about it was, if we don't own our own supply chain, do we really have a business? If the guy that owns the harvest facility today gets hit by a bus and he goes away,
Another one.
maybe. Or
Sharpen your axe.
yeah, right. And I said, so do you own a business at that point? Because
Yeah, but right now, if the grain company goes out of business, you're in the same boat, aren't you?
no, there's enough around us that we could still get it done.
Well, I'm sure there's enough harvesters you could get it done.
Not at our scale. We got too big. Like if we had to go move all of our production to another facility,
Or you mean just too much?
yeah, nobody could fit us. So we got to the point we outgrew the regional ability to do contract work, and we needed to own it. Aside from the fact that we needed to grow the company, and how do you do that with handcuffs on? So we took that down, and with that integration, probably the coolest part of the deal was the gentleman that owned the harvest facility was a classmate of mine from school. And we negotiated with him. He actually reinvested, stayed on as partner. So we have the team with all the expertise from top to bottom that we needed. And putting that whole thing together has been so much fun.
How do you guys ever get like restaurants? Like, I just went to Fleming's.
Mm-hmm.
They got a great steak. And I think it's the way they cook it. It's not necessarily the meat.
Mm-hmm.
Could be, but I think it's the way they cook it.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get accounts like that? Just knock on doors and sell them?
We usually don't.
Are you guys mainly
Like
farm to table?
95% direct to consumer.
Direct to people?
Yeah.
So 95% of your business is a guy like me that eats steak a lot, just saying, hey, you want to do a steak?
Yeah. Well, because if you think of the math of a restaurant, I need 200 pounds of ribeye a week. Well, cool. Now I got to find somebody that wants all the New York and somebody that wants all the burger.
Otherwise it rots.
No, we do all frozen. So
I'll take all the burger too. I love hamburger.
there you go. I got you.
Now, did we make a deal with you, Badass Barbecues, or no?
Actually, I talked to our marketing guy today, and I believe Adam is trying to have that put together by the end of the week. He's wanting to have it up by Black Friday.
Yeah, because he was like, there's got to be badass meats. I said, dude, I don't care if it's badass meats. I mean, I don't care if it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just pick a good, solid company that they have kick-ass meat, because we're just badass barbecues.
Yeah.
I think people want a badass barbecue. Well, if I'm going to buy a barbecue, dude, I want a subscription.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. The recurring revenue, right? If somebody buys a really cool backyard barbecue, well, then they leave. You lose that customer connection. You got to keep the hooks in. And
I just want constant meat showing up. So I'm like, dude, why don't we like add that to a barbecue? Do you have other barbecue companies that sell your meat?
Nope.
See what I'm saying? Like, and I ain't asking for exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
I just want a good quality meat company to where, someone buys a barbecue, I'm going to say right on the spot, what you pick a package. Why?
Yeah.
Who's buying a barbecue that don't want meat?
100%.
And if you haven't, maybe I'll even buy their first box. I don't know what's profitable in a barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is, I told Adam, let's find a good company. So I hope he made that deal with you.
Yeah. Deal's done.
And by the way, folks, if you guys are looking for a badass barbecue, old Brad Lee, badassbarbecues.com, badassbbqs.com. Go get yourself a badass barbecue. I got all the freaking markup and bullshit down as low as possible so you get kick-ass deals on the best and most badass barbecues. And now, hopefully, we got Colorado craft beef as a option to get the meat to barbecue with.
So we've got the systems put together already that when they order on your website, it drops into our shipping portal.
Oh, good.
So you guys don't have to touch it. Our people take care of it.
That's the goal.
Yeah, that's the hope.
And,
right?
and again, you guys should go to some of these barbecue companies. I don't know what your guys' goals are. Grow, scale. I just assume that it is. Don't you? I mean, I don't know. What is your goal?
Growing and scaling certainly is the plan. We do have some new products we're getting ready to roll out. So
like what?
Think jerky space, getting into the jerky space, doing some more retail type stuff. That's going to be Q1 and Q3 next year, respectively. And then, just working on the partnerships as we expand. So our next big move within the company is actually going to be a fulfillment center. So we have a fulfillment center at the ranch right now. It's in our office building. It's health department inspected and all the things it should be. But at the same time, we're outgrowing that pretty quickly.
You guys just get orders piling up every day or what?
Yeah. Yeah, we ship 2 days a week. So usually,
like Mike, who I was walking out, I told him what you did. He's like, "Dude, I want some." Like, that's my whole thing. Like, who wouldn't want just steady stream of meat? Now, again, not so much it stacks up, but a steady stream of good quality meat every, let's say, for example, I don't know what most people eat. Do you know the statistics on what most people eat?
78 pounds a year
of
beef. Those are Bush League numbers. I feel like we can bump those up.
What do you guys do for Christmas? One time we had I think it was a top sirloin they made.
Yeah.
Killer.
So from a mathematical standpoint, the highest we've seen is December being 40% of our annual revenue.
Oh shit.
Yeah. The Christmas rush is crazy. And because you'll get companies like our bank will hit us up and we'll do 100 boxes for them, or
they're giving out as gifts.
Yeah, they're giving them to customers. Or actually, I was talking to Phoebe today, and she's like, "Oh, we could totally do that. That'd be great." Yeah, no problem.
What you want is recurring. Any kind of recurring.
Well, what we've found, especially with the Christmas gifts, a company buys the first one and they come back for more. So the ROAS is outstanding when you can get more of that share, just getting people in the funnel, as you know.
Aren't you guys afraid you're going to run out of cows?
No. Cows are not the problem.
What is?
Well, actually, like we talked on the phone yesterday, oh man, scale could be a problem. Scale is not a problem as long as you can get the sales. The risk that we have, the biggest risk we have is we can grow as many cows as we want. It's not that big of a deal. There's working capital concern. There's all those other business things. But once we start cattle down a finishing path, they have to go in a box at a certain time. And now they go in a box, and now they are in a box. There's nothing else you can do with them. So you've changed the material quality of that product from a banking perspective, from a finance perspective. So when you start to make those commitments, 6 months out that you're going to have X amount of cattle that are going to come through and be sellable product, you have to know you can move it. That's the biggest challenge.
And that's it? See, that's my specialty. We might be able to do some biz on the outside too. Why? Because shit, dude, like if you told me, Brad, I'll have, 10,000 kick-ass New York strips, amongst other things, as long as you can get rid of them, I'll sell them to you for $2. And I knew that the market, you sell them to these restaurants, and retail, you sell them for $6. Restaurants, you got to sell them for $3. I'm getting them direct from the freaking you guys for $2. I could sell the shit out of steaks throughout the year.
Yep. And that's why
doesn't want steak?
People that are wrong generally, but that's why we bought the harvest facility, so we can start that model, because previously we just couldn't make the swing because
it was too risky. If you didn't sell it, it rotted.
Well, it wouldn't have rotted, but it was more so, if we get to that point, we're like, man, we can't harvest all these cattle. Now we have a risk of upsetting the harvest facility owner, because maybe you then cancel dates. Now they have a gap in their manufacturing and they're a service provider. So now you've dropped their business efficiency. You're just trying to manage all those relationships all the way through.
Well, the harvest provider, you said?
Yeah, this is before we bought them.
Oh, I was going to say, why don't you just buy it or just start your own?
That's what we did. We bought the facility.
And now they can't do that.
Well, now he's a partner. We aligned the incentives, I believe you would say. And we did that, as we mentioned before we started talking, we did that with the help of Jocko and a bunch of his buddies.
Jocko's cool, dude.
He's a lot of fun. And some of
He
the
eats steak, I bet.
He does. He is a steak guy. I think the one time I got him to smile when we were hanging out in August was when I handed him a ribeye. But yeah, so we partnered with Jocko and then a couple of the other guys that helped found Jocko Fuel. So Brian and Pete. And then we've got some other guys on the team that work with Jocko. And then we have Travis Mills on the team. I don't know if you know Travis.
So is Jocko going to start talking about it a lot?
He has been, yeah.
Are you going on his podcast?
Probably Q1. We're getting some of these new products.
He's got some reach on that sucker. There's only a few podcasts that I'd go on. His is one of them.
Right.
Like Jocko's got some freaking listeners.
Oh, the network that we are attached to now is just weird.
Yeah, I see you guys blowing up. You looking for anybody to invest or take shares?
There will probably be a second round for sure. We have the structure set for something like that.
Well, Jocko himself could blow you up. When I drop this podcast, I don't know how many, but I know there's a lot of people that listen to it. A huge percentage is going to eat steak. Mm-hmm. They're going to freaking probably go Colorado Craft. By the way, what is the website?
ColoradoCraftBeef.com.
ColoradoCraftBeef.com. They're going to go and they're going to be like, boom, boom, boom. Let me try a package. Yeah. Brad says it's good. I'll try a package. And then they try a package. They're like, I want another package.
Yeah. We've got a 78% reorder rate from new customers.
Yeah. So, I mean, nuts. Do you have enough cows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We started this media tour in August and we started building inventory in March. So we've brought in extra freezer space. We've operationalized all of that.
Well, dude, I had a bunch of questions for you just to see if you guys knew what you were doing, but I didn't know I was talking to freaking, Harvard folks.
I am a Colorado State University guy that hangs out with Harvard folks.
I know, but I was expecting a bunch of, farmers come in here and be like, shit, all I know is we get Bessie up there about 5 a.m. You guys are coming in here. Well, actually, the supply chain deficiency program and the derivative markets are, commodity we've been looking into for quite some time.
I think what you're trying to say, Brad, is you are delightfully surprised.
Yeah, it's wonderful news. It's wonderful news. I was going to try to give you guys some
zingers.
Just some business advice. I'm a little bit of a businessman.
Yeah,
but I don't need to.
No, I got your cell phone number, man. I'm going to text you and be like, hey, we got this problem.
You guys are already dialed in. I'm going to start tacking you for some business advice.
We have done some consulting. I'm actually helping a buddy of mine right now on the West Coast. He's got a winery that I'm helping him move.
Oh, wineries.
Yeah.
So then let's close it out by giving entrepreneurs that are listening to this.
I haven't got a bomb yet, have I? Not one.
Well, they're bombs, but I don't know they're bombs because I don't know your industry. You probably bombed the shit out of it. But let's give 3 things that an entrepreneur that's out there in the world facing any business, not just in the livestock or cattle business. What's 3 things you guys have learned building this that you think everybody should know if they're building a business?
My first one is relationships. Always. There you go. Thank you. I mean, I had a sales guy tell me one time when I was working for him, he goes, never, ever take anything for granted. Never, ever undervalue a relationship because if the company evaporates tomorrow, your relationships are always there. They never go away.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, that's good.
I thought you got that from my book, but okay.
I got it there too.
I don't even know if you read my book, but I wrote my book, Relationships Over Money. And that's the exact reason because, and I made the mistake, learned the hard way, but if the relationship goes away, so does the money. Mm-hmm. If the money goes away, the relationship doesn't necessarily go away. If the relationship's more important than the money, and as long as the relationship's there, there's a possibility of that money. So same thing, but relationship over money. What else?
I think the second one, and I do this a lot, probably too much. I try to prove myself wrong. So I can go build a shipping model. I can figure out what we're going to do for inventory. I can move all these different things. And I audit my own processes, hoping to find a problem so it doesn't sneak up on me and kick me square in the butt. And there's a lot of people, I think, that really want to be right over being correct. And they spend so much time drinking their own Kool-Aid. I'm like, no, man, I would rather discover I'm wrong myself than have the bank point it out. And that internal reflection is something so many people don't have.
See, now we're carpet bombing.
There you go.
What's the third one?
I think the third one is, and this kind of dovetails in relationships, but having a team and not forgetting where you come from and treating them correctly. The respect,
Leadership.
yeah, the leadership, and I almost call it, I don't know what I would actually refer to it as, but one of the things I really respect about our team that I think our team respects about us, I have stood next to them and shoveled snow out of feed bunks. I hauled cattle to the harvest facility one day. I got hit in the face with a gate, cracked my nose, ripped my eyelid, broke this bone in my face, and I showed up bleeding because cattle still had to be dropped off. And our guy that runs the harvest floor for us is like, man, he's tough. I'm like, or I'm just too stupid to quit, man. I don't know. But the level of integrity you build in the shared fight, because they know that you're there. I don't think you can recreate that. And I think a lot of people, like, especially in the ag industry, you know, I'm fourth generation, I'm whatever, and they got handed a farm. They forget that. Or that somebody gets handed a business and they forget what it's like to be the guy on the ground. And, you know, if I had a manager at Cargill one time ask me, he goes, hey man, how do you think the team's doing? I said, man, they're good. I was like 22. I was real smart. I say that sarcastically because I was a dumbass and I didn't know it. And he goes, how's your leadership going? I said, man, I really think they respect me. And he goes, I need you to think about something. What happens if you don't come to work tomorrow? You're the location manager. I said, yeah. I said, they're a good crew, man. They're gonna run this thing here and keep doing it. Yeah. He goes, what happens if they don't come to work tomorrow? What the hell are you gonna do? like you couldn't have slapped me in the face and got a more shocked, like, oh man, you know, heart dropping moment. And he goes, never forget that. He goes, you need them way more than they need you. And that's what a real leader is doing. Servant leadership. You're there to make sure their day is as easy as it can be.
See there? Dang, you're making Kara cry almost.
She's been listening to my nonsense for a decade. I don't know.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming in. Hopefully you're in here to enjoy the F1.
But we're actually blasting out in the morning going home.
Oh, you're not even staying for it?
No, we didn't realize it was this week till Tuesday.
Dude, it's a nonsense. I can't even believe the ticket prices. But from what I hear, they're dropping because everyone's saying the same thing. Like, are you smoking crack?
Right. Well, I heard that.
I went to go get a couple tickets because my buddy's in town, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll get us hooked up. And they're like $13,500 a ticket. And I'm like, no,
13,000?
Yeah, $13,500 a ticket. And I'm like, no, I think you misunderstood. We just want to sit and watch the cars go around a few times.
Yeah, I don't need to sit in the seat.
Yeah, I don't need to drive the car. I don't need to be next to the car owners. I just want to like sit somewhere and watch it go like 2 or 3 times.
Right.
I don't even need to watch the whole race.
Right.
$13,500 each.
And
I was about to say, okay, for 4 each. I'm like, are you out of your mind? I called my buddy. I said, dude, it's going to be packed down there. Like, we should just watch it on TV.
Right.
Like, come on, 13.5 for stupid ass.
That's
I don't even
crazy.
watch the race.
Did they say it with a straight face?
Yeah, dude, and that's what's crazy. There's a lot of it. There's like more private jets here than, you know, anywhere in the world's ever been. Like, apparently, if you have any money whatsoever, you're here.
That's why we're going home.
Yeah, that's where I'm about to go home because I ain't got that kind of money. Like, who would do that? I had a buddy of mine say, I want to teach you how to make a small fortune. I said, yeah. He said, get in the racing team and start with a big fortune.
That's right. That's the joke in the cattle industry. You know, you make a little money in the cattle industry, you start with a lot.
Yeah, but I thought the cattle business, you know, hard, but like, you know, you make money. That's why you see all those freaking rich freaking cattlemen.
Yeah, there's some truth to that.
And then if you're cool, like freaking Costner and freaking, you know, the Yellowstone crew, are they cattle ranchers or what are they?
I think Costner actually, a weird thing for the Bomb Squad. Look up Kevin Costner's album. He actually has a really great Western album that's out. Kara's looking at me like, why do you know that? But I mean, there's a lot to be said for the industry and the amount of money it garners. The trajectory of the profitability of agriculture is negative over time. So you have to get creative. And that's why you see the bigger guys getting bigger and some of the smaller guys evaporating, because the scale of economy has to work.
Well, we won't let Colorado Craft go anywhere. Will We Bomb Squad. Go to coloradocraftbeef.com. Follow these guys on Instagram, social media. What is it
At Colorado Craft Beef.
Is that where do you have any personal ones?
Mine is at Jeff's Optic, and Kara's is
Kara K. Smith.
At Kara K. Smith. Appreciate you guys coming in. Thanks for the steak. Thanks for the cigars.
of course, sir.
And folks, eat some meat. As always, till next time, keep it real.
Think in your head right now, I'm cool. Now, if you just think I'm cool, if you didn't say it out loud, just think it, I'm cool. Whose voice did you just hear? Because again, you heard it in your head, right? Whose voice is that? Is that your voice? Whose voice is that? That's the voice of what I would consider. Sometimes, by the way, it's not you. It's not you. The real you is the being